If you're working with sterling silver and have a laser or considering to have a laser, I think you came to a right place. This is a beast because we have a lot of power with this tool. And I tested quite deeply. Like when I talk about frustration I got with this laser, if I'm testing my piece, I'm testing it good. And this piece was so accurate that I couldn't mess up. If you mess up, you don't have working function in your piece. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about this beast behind my back, which is xTool F2 Ultra. This is a beast because we have a lot of power with this tool. And I tested quite deeply, I would say. So if you want an honest review about this tool, which I used and create 4 pieces, and those 4 pieces were very well thought, that I could test the whole ability that this laser could give me. And I'm working with sterling silver here, and it's hard to work with it, not only because it's extremely reflective material to work with, but it's very good and quick heat transferring material as well. So that means it gets hot pretty quickly. In this video, I will give you all the issues that I got in a way when it comes to testing this laser. This laser I'm testing a month already. It taught me a lot about the abilities, maybe even disabilities, what I can do and what I can't do with this beast. If you're working with sterling silver and have a laser or considering to have a laser, I think you came to a right place because I will give you all of the knowledge that I got when it comes to 4 pieces that I made with this laser. I do have experience just with a small laser, small power. Last year I did review with xTool F1. So it's like small portable laser, and it doesn't have that much power as this one has. So they are extremely different. The power range, all of that, everything is quite way more than we had with the small one. So I'm coming with experience in the laser department, just working with that one. I'm the person that I have idea and I want to make it work, you know? Technical aspect is coming in a way and I'm solving all the problems on the road while I'm having them. So I'm very driven by the product, the idea of it, the way I want it would look like. So for this, I had very good ideas in mind and I was testing all of that. I will be very honest with you. This laser just hit me right in the head for sure. I was frustrated. Like when I talk about frustration I got with this laser, it's out of like the space, really. It truly took a lot of madness until I reached the point where I started to understand what's happening, why I'm not having consistent results, what I need to do, and all of that. First thing I wanted to do, it was pretty hardcore when it comes to laser, it's engraving. I wanted a deep engraved pattern line that I could do a ring out of, but I had so many issues because I didn't know how to work with the laser in the first place. I didn't know that much about it because when we have bigger power range, you have so many choices in the settings. How can you actually program your software and program your laser to do that engraving for you, to do the cut, to do the score? Everything is about settings, and we have probably 5 settings to choose from. And the range of speed, it could be thousands, you know? So how many possibilities would you have to do certain tasks? It's a lot, truly a lot. So I was beginning with too hard of a project, I would say. If you want to start to do something with the laser, I wouldn't suggest to jump into engraving straight away, because it takes a lot of practice to understand and way more knowledge to jump into engraving. Unless you want to have lighter engraving, let's say. If you want to have lighter engraving, the laser will do that for you pretty quickly. But I wanted deeper, you know, like I wanted deeper impression into my piece, which I'm always seeking when I'm creating my silver jewelry. That task was too much for me. I tested a week probably this thing and it wasn't working for me. I was very mad, but I taught myself a lot from all of the mistakes. This is how it works, you know, like when you work with the tool, or you're working with new project or something. Usually mistakes leads you to a better understanding what is happening, why it's not happening, and what I should do. After that, I was like, okay, we will do the score, we will check how it's going, we will start simpler. And that's what I did. I created a ring design with quite deep scoring because I wanted to place stones in my ring. That ring came out very beautifully, very customized. I put rubies, I put sapphires in it as well. It looked very handmade-like, which I wanted to accentuate with this style. So scoring is pretty good example what you could do with the piece if you want quick result. So this one is quick result because score itself, it's easy to do for a laser. Score can give you a cut as well, which I will talk later on too. This is just an example. You could do whatever pattern you actually want. Less deep you will go, softer it will look like. If you want deep score or you want deep engraving, you actually need a lot of time to give for the laser, that the laser wouldn't use a lot of power for it, so it's not burning quickly. It's reducing material lightly. Then you will have a way softer view. And when I did that scoring, I was like, okay, let's do something harder. And I jumped into engraving again. I don't know if it was a good choice because it gave me a lot of frustration again, but I truly wanted that deep engraving and I truly wanted to show you that power that this laser could give. If I'm testing my face, I'm testing it good. I'm using full powers, a lot of density, all of that. For the second piece, I was using the laser for the cut and I was using the laser for engraving part because the laser itself can score, engrave, and cut. So I had to use all, you know. I tried cutting. I'm still not sure how to do that correctly because when it comes to cut, laser is kind of lost a bit when it comes to silver. I heard a lot of people have the same issues with cutting. So I was like, okay, let's score. Score is working way faster and score has a lot of power to give when it comes to cutting. And it does that the quickest. If you want to cut silver, I would highly recommend to try score. So when it comes to engraving, and I understood that later on with my another piece I was making, you need to prepare the surface very equally. From the beginning, I understood that we need to prepare the silver because you can't put highly reflective material under your laser in general because if it's high reflective, you will reflect the laser that is coming into your piece and you can damage all that machine that you have. So it's very important to prepare the surface. And to prepare the surface, you have to create the matte finish that the laser wouldn't get and caught on that reflectiveness. You know, I had so many fails, but you have to look at the laser all the time that you wouldn't damage it. So when you see that it's not doing anything on the material that you're working on, probably it catches reflectiveness. You have to stop it and do everything again. You know, later on with my third piece, I started to understand what I'm doing wrong when it comes to preparing the surface right. That's crucial part when it comes to material. If the surface is not equally prepared, you will get uneven engraving, which I did have with all of the testing before. So we're not engraving the same depth in our piece. Even with this necklace, you can tell we have deep engraving from the right side and we have less engraving on the left. This worked for me because for me it looked even nicer to have it this way. But if you want evenly engraved picture, you have to prepare your material very equally on the whole surface because we're creating very tiny lines when it comes to sanding our piece. Tiny lines creates reflectiveness as well, and then the laser becomes lost. It doesn't know where to go because the light is too strong when you have that reflect. You know, with this piece, I went full on, like full on. I put a paper tape on the silver and then I put a Sharpie on top as well. So that was working pretty good compared to what kind of fails and results I had in the past. But when you're doing this kind of way, you need to burn that paper out and the glue is burning and you know, like all the fussing just to get that engraving. And I was like, okay, if it's need to be that hard, but I'm getting very good impression, I will do that. And in the end, I understood that one brush can be enough. I was trying to prepare the surface in various ways. I was using radial discs, I was using wet and dry nylon sponges, I was using sponge itself, but nothing created the finish that the laser liked a lot and eat it, basically, how that one brush did. Because now I know how to give that material to the laser that it would work, you know? Because a lot of frustration I got with the laser, it was just because I wasn't getting any result. Like, come on, I'm putting the material in it and it's not doing anything. So just imagine how mad I was. Yeah, but I was like, this needs to work. Because the ability that you could do with this type of the laser is a lot. And big one, you know? So when I discovered that brush and finally could give the material to the laser that it could work, I could see how the settings are working. And actually one brush solved all of my problems, which I discovered just on a third piece that I was making. And for the image, I was using brass details as well, which is very hard to do. Like very hard to do, but I love that brass. It looks so tasty with the silver and I just had to use it. It was hard with soldering, but that is like my jewelry making side. And the laser did a very good job when it comes to cutting the details out of the brass, but it was quite thin. It was 0.3 millimeters, so it wasn't a big job for the laser to cut it. All the cutting I did with the score, of course, I got not consistent results every time because we're talking about very tiny pieces. So sometimes laser was just burning stuff out. That inconsistency happens because we're heating the metal, right? So if we're going with the laser in some kind of one spot, of course it gets hot a lot. Of course it gets softer. The molecules are just like getting crazy because it's getting hot. So it's the same way how we're annealing the piece, right? So if it's getting softer, my laser is getting in way more. That means you have to correct the settings all the time, how you are cutting or scoring or engraving, depending on the metal that you're putting in. Because not only thickness you have to consider if the piece is annealed or not. With pieces before, I was annealing silver as well and then putting that in laser just to solve the problem. So when it comes to the third piece, I didn't have any problem. I knew what I was doing. I needed just to mark, because when it comes to small details and we have thick metal to work with, it's extremely hard to mark everything on your metal. I was getting 2.5 millimeter sterling silver metal piece. And it was tiny. There wouldn't any possibility to do that. Okay, like we can do what we want, you know, like, but we have limits. When we're creating jewelry, we do have limits with accuracy. And this piece was so accurate that I couldn't mess up. You know, like if you mess up, you don't have working function in your piece. So the accuracy that the laser could give me with the piece. Of course, the cutting was a very important part as well. So I'm not giving all the credit for the laser, but I'm not sure I would have jumped to make some kind of piece like this if I wouldn't have the laser, because laser was keeping me accurate. You know, I'm cutting small pieces out of it accurately and I'm putting to create the function in my jewelry piece. And it did a great job. Great job. So I marked everything and cut everything by hand. So many asked, this laser can cut? Why are sawing still with the hand? According to the settings that this laser has, we have ability to cut up to 1 millimeter sterling silver material. But it's like the maximum that you can get, right? So just imagine how long that laser will cut it. Because 1 millimeter sheet is thick to cut for the laser in general. It is thick. You can cut it, but you will spend a lot of time and energy to do that. So some things cut by hand, it's way quicker and more efficient than it would be cut with the laser. So when it comes to very thin pieces, let's say those small pieces I was making for that picture I was engraving, Brass was 0.3 millimeters. So probably took 1 minute to cut these small pieces out of the brass. Sterling silver you will cut longer. With the fourth piece, I cut 0.5 millimeter thickness of the silver. Those small pieces to cut, and it was just for one earring, took me hour and 20 minutes. It could be faster. It truly depends how soft that silver plate is to begin with. And it truly depends how small the details are, because the laser will be going in one spot more, so it would heat up the place more, and then it will cut quicker as well, because the burning part gets, you know, deeper and quicker. So it's always about the piece. Every piece you have to test when you're working with the laser, and you have to test it with the material that you will be working on. Because I was testing this with brass first. Brass is easier to work with the laser, way easier than sterling silver is. So with the brass, I was getting result and I was like getting happy about it, and I'm putting the silver and it's not working. No result. It's just very frustrating at that point, because sterling silver has its own character, as I would say, and we have to deal with that character, you know, when we're working with this. So if you want to work with sterling silver and have deeper engravings and some kind of result out of the laser, you need that brush, I'm telling you. If you have better solutions how to prepare the surface, let me know. We all need to know. Tell me in the comments. With the fourth piece, I was cutting 0.3 millimeter brass details, which was a blast. It took me, I don't know, maybe half an hour for both of the earrings. I love the cut. Cut is very accurate. Those pieces were cut about, I don't know, 50 times, going around and using full power, lowest speed, and yeah, it was truly using full power of the machine. But still, if you think about it, if you go on a piece 50 times, just imagine you could lose all the accuracy, right? So you could lose all of the edges, everything, because it has to go in the same spot all the time. When you're using the laser, it's getting hot, metal tends to bend, because in some places it's getting hotter, in some places it's not as hot, so you have to be aware of that too. If you have a bigger space to work on, bigger sheet, that's the best thing that you can give to the laser, because it have the space to heat up. Not tiny spaces that to go around all the time, which I was using before because I didn't have that time bigger sheet. Because, you know, I'm counting my material. I want to use what I have at the moment. So I was testing with the smaller stuff. Some things you can do with the smaller sheet, but I would highly recommend to put bigger sheet and have that cutting or scoring or engraving, because you have to give material to the laser to work on. Not like the space that it has to put all the pattern on when it comes to deeper engravings. We're talking here about deep stuff, you know? If you want to go lightweight, it's perfect. You would go quick and fast. It would be just very quick work. But here we're talking about real testing. If you understand how to work with it, with deeper engravings, with lighter ones, it's just like, you know, tasty stuff. So if you're planning to do project, make 10 pieces out of it, laser is perfect option for you because you have all the settings. It's very easy to work with the software. I learned a lot from the software as well because I needed specific details from my picture. I learned how to make a picture into vectors and how to release them, how to delete stuff that I don't want to have in my picture, how to take just some parts of it that I need. Technology always teaches you a lot. I learned these things in a month, so just imagine if I would do 4 pieces more. I'm just saying. So be aware of the size of the pieces that you want to cut, because the smaller the pieces, the hotter it will get while cutting. And sometimes we can lose accuracy. Sometimes the metal is bending. So when the metal is bending, we're not doing the same line and working on the same line when it comes to lasering our piece. So this laser truly needs to be, you know, you have to be a bit glued on and watch what's happening with your piece. But if you're like, you know, a good inspector, then you can get crazy good results with this thing. But you have to be very cautious what you're doing, how long you're doing. Even with thicker sheets, just imagine if the laser is cutting 0.5 millimeter thickness of the silver for almost an hour and a half. How long it will take me to cut 1 millimeter? I'm just saying, you're counting. So you have to understand that some things is better to score and then cut it yourself than to actually use a laser, because we're paying those electricity bills and we want to be efficient in our work, right? And we want to be cost efficient as well. That's important. The purpose of the tool is to help you in your work. And the purpose of the tool is not to give you more expenses that you can't cover. If you're doing not one customized piece and you're doing, let's say, 10 of them, this tool is very nice to have because you actually can do different activities while the laser is working. But if you want to customize your piece and have just one, while you're testing, you actually have to be glued with the laser, check on it all the time. Because consistent result you can get from your pieces if you will give big sheet to the laser and you would be like, okay, I'm doing, let's say, petals and I want to have a lot of flowers with it, and I'm like putting everything in one sheet. That's perfect option to work with the laser like this because we're working with the big surface. But keep in mind, it won't be consistent in every area that you will be cutting because the edges will get hotter quicker. The edges will get cut quicker or scored or whatever. So when we're having engraving or something, we want to have space around our picture because those places coming to the edge will get hotter. It will burn way quicker. Sterling silver is getting very hot very quickly. With the brass, why we get better results is just because brass is not that good on transferring the heat. Brass is thicker itself. It takes way longer to heat up the brass than it would be to heat up sterling silver. That's why we get inconsistent results when we're cutting with the laser, because one corner where we're working on the plate is getting hot, right? So the edges of it is getting hot as well. I'm coming with the laser cutting here. Already this part is way softer than I began with. So you have to consider that part as well. That's why you have to play with your settings constantly, but if you understand what you're doing, this beast can give you very nice stuff. It truly saves your hands. You have ability to have very accurate cuts, and that's very important when you're creating jewelry. We need that accuracy. That accuracy is juice for our jewelry pieces because it's extremely important to be accurate. This thing can give you accuracy on the highest level, and it truly saves your time and gives you the space where you can get creative. And you truly can customize your pieces as well. Put your logo wherever you want to have deeper engraving quicker. That's why we have bigger power in the machine. So if I compare with that portable one that I do have, we can't even compare it because the depth that we can get with this one, it's way quicker in time, you know? So the perfect brush is this dude. They call it banana ones. I'm not very sure about the name, but this is saving this laser and saving my pieces as well. It's extremely nice for sanding, and I jumped on it pretty late, I would say. It's working. It's great. It's a great thing to actually prepare your surface. It's even. I have to mention that air purifier as well because it makes a huge difference when it comes to working with the laser. I was working with that portable one quite a long time, and even with the filter I had to put that tube out of my window because the smell was getting into the room. But that air purifier, wow, it's very good. That ventilating is working so good. You even can see how the smoke is going straight to the tube and it's going straight to the filter. I used to get very sore throat when I was working with laser, and this air purifier does a very great job. If you use full power of the fan when you're working, it really takes all the smell and all of the details into that filter. If you have ability to put your tube out of the window, I would highly recommend that with any laser and any filter because when you're working with the metal, even with the wood, you get a lot of smoke, a lot of particles in the air as well. Think about your health. This air purifier is really, really good. I can recommend if you're working with a laser. Okay, I talked a lot, but I wanted to give you the best information that I can give you when it comes to this laser, because it's truly big in the power, it's truly big with the settings that we could work on, and it takes a long time to test it. It takes a long time to get to know the tool. So now I do know more about it, and I actually have to work on it even more if I want to get even better results. But even now, from my last pieces, I was very, very content because it truly saved my time. It truly gave me accuracy I wanted, and I could cut 0.5 millimeter sterling silver accurately, and I didn't have to do that by hand, which is very big improvement when you can do that and you can use details in your work more, because we all know how long it takes just to saw everything by hand. When you want to have more detailed pieces and you're considering not to do it just because you see it will take you a week, and I don't have a week. So I'm not even making those pieces, which actually makes you excited to create jewelry. I can cut my own details with this laser and create patterns, create shapes out of it. You can customize your piece to the max when you have a laser. I talked about it even when I was talking about that portable laser that they have, because the ability to customize from the bottom to the top when it comes to packaging, when it comes to the piece that you're making, the details that you're cutting, so many things you can actually do if you put your mind into it. It's truly impressive what kind of pieces you can make and cut and do. 0.3 millimeter thickness, even in the silver, is very good thickness to use for tiny details. Let's say we want to do a flower, 5 layers of petals. I mean, very accurate cut. Because sometimes you want to create the base with the laser and work on it to be as a help in your hand making jewelry. This is my point where I'm talking about technology. Technology is not meant for me to make my work. It's meant for me to help me, at least the way I see it, because I love to create. I love handmade. So for me to work with my hands, it's the best tool I can work with. But technology can make more pieces come alive, because you can create the vision and actually make it work, you know? Cut those details to have small pieces to create the art out of it, not to create the art just with a machine. Because even engraving part for me was more like to show you what you could do with the laser, the capability of it. But it's not my source to make it. Even my phone died after that much of talking. What I wanted to say, that technology is truly for me for the help, but not to do my job, if that makes sense. I'm using accuracy for marking my pieces. I love to mark my pieces with the laser. So we have a lot of good stuff when it comes to how much of the help the tool can actually give you. You actually have to ask yourself what you want to achieve with the tool. Because if you think that it will do everything for you, you have to do quite simple pieces to achieve it, or maybe just engrave something or score on your ring. It has rotary attachment as well, where you can engrave inside of the ring too, which is a very beautiful option for your jewelry, to customize it, to put hallmark, whatever you want to put there. Maybe you want to leave a secret message inside of your ring as well, maybe customize it for a customer. So these things that laser could give you, that's pretty obvious and it works. That's why I tested this laser on a full power, what it can actually do and give. That's why you get some madness out of it as well, because I was truly pushing to the laser limits when it comes to engraving, scoring, and cutting. I'm working with thicker material all the time. So if your work is more based on, let's say, 0.5 millimeter thickness of the metal, this laser is a perfect option for you for cuts as well. You can cut shapes for earrings as well. So that's very nice because you can work on the sheet already that it's cut. I'm truly standing for handmade work, but the details that you can create or mark your pieces with the laser. I can be very creative as an artist while using this thing to create details on my pieces, which is very nice as well. The accuracy that I can get, the jewelry pieces that I can actually make by hand while I'm using it as a help is pretty cool. You saw that locker? I mean, like the accuracy of it, it has to be pretty good, and you can achieve these things with a laser help. Of course, I'm not saying that you can't do small things by hand, because I'm doing that constantly. I did that before laser, I did that before welder, before all of those helping tools that I have now. But that time that it needs to be done, it's a lot. So the laser can give you ability to make that choice, to create that beautiful design that you can create. The possibilities that you can do with this laser is truly outstanding. But you have to be aware that you have to be pretty aware what's coming when you're working with the laser. We truly have a lot of possibilities that we could dive in with this laser as well. I truly haven't tested all. The laser opened my mind a bit more as well, because I was creating pieces that I wasn't considering to create. And when you have a laser, when you have a good marking tool, I mean, and if you can cut some pieces with it as well, we're jumping for more interesting stuff. Because those last pieces, when I was creating that locket thing, those beautiful patterned earrings, I had that full excitement to create it because I knew what I'm doing, and that accuracy was so tasty on a laser as well. And yeah, it gave me the chills. It gave me very big excitement to create something, and that's very important for a jeweler. And I'm doing jewelry for more than 6 years now, so you know, I know what I'm talking about. I truly love functionality in jewelry making, so having the laser, it's a big opportunity for me to actually go into that accuracy functional world even more. I hope you liked it. And I hope this video was useful for you. If you have questions or advice how to use the tool, how to create that perfect finish, I'm waiting there in the comments. Give us all your knowledge that you have, because everybody wants to get better and we all can get better together, as I always like to say. I hope you like it, and I will see you in my next one.